near the end of the third period. I would be
Well, I tell you what, things were looking pretty good there until 3-4 minutes left in the third period, and all of a sudden it just went to shit. I mean, welcome to the ArmChair GM podcast. We're live after the Flames and Predators game. We've got a couple of special guests coming on from the Flaming Talk podcast. We've got Noah, we've got Connor. What's up, fellas?
Not too much. I mean, you know, we're seeing more Calgary Flames hockey, which is fun. You know what? They play. I think we could be happy that, you know, in a way they play competitively, but we still need those losses. If you're on Team Tank, we still need those losses.
I totally agree with that sentiment. I mean, we're they've put together a few wins and a few extra time points, and it's kind of worrying me that they're you know, getting Edwards to think that we're good again, and so a loss is good.
Yeah. I usually say about the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result, right? So,
yeah,
you know, the more they kind of, and I hope during this spread between now and like what New Year's, that they are basically revealed to be frauds, and the whole they're now 5-2-3 record, or 5-2-2 as of their last 9 games was nothing but a fluke. So,
you know, that's really. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say Markstrom's really played well in that stretch as well. It's really helped out. He's stood on his head on a lot of plays there, and you know, and we got some timely goals, which helps. It's one of the things the Flames have been plagued with for, I don't know, about 12 years, really. Just not getting that puck luck or the goals when you need them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been entertaining to watch, though. Like, I'm Team Tank as well, or at least team a couple of years worth of Tank, maybe not full on, but it's
I think a lot of us
it's a little hard to
It's
hard to believe that we're better than we've shown so far this year.
Yeah, let's be good for when the arena gets opened up, right? That's all it takes. We just need 3 years worth of downtime, and let's get rolling after that.
Yeah, that's I 100% agree with that. You know, sentiment right there is like, like be bad for like 2-3 years, actually go after potential legitimate players. And it's like, okay, by the time the new arena opens, you could absolutely have a team that could legitimately complete.
I totally agree. Like, whether we're super competitive by then or not, at least we'll be more on the upswing than on the continuing to be super mediocre swing.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like people are really tired of mediocrity. Like, people are not going to come to your games, and we've already seen the drop in attendance, you know, over the course of the last maybe couple homestands now, where, you know, people are tired of watching the mediocre product. Like, no one wants to watch mediocrity. Like, people will get behind you if you actually have a direction and vision for your team, right? And you know, people have been saying it's like, you know, winning's fun. Yes, but my biggest concern is that ownership, and I don't trust this ownership at all. I do not trust this ownership at all to do the right thing. That's reality. And I really, you know, fear that if they continue to win games here, ownership's going to get distracted from the reality of what actually has to be done here. And do you really trust this ownership group to, if this team, let's say, for example, this team is in the playoff spot by a wild card spot, hypothetically, by the deadline? Do you really think ownership's going to give them the green light to sell? Like, there's no way.
I think no. Well, not to fire sale, and that's one of the reasons why I'm also worried about waiting to sell all 4 or 5 of those guys. Right? Is like you need to do one or two in the next month, and then one or two in the next month after that, and then one or two in the next month after that, because otherwise you're going to be left at the deadline, even if we suck, and they've got the green light to sell, or at least rejig the roster. You're going to be left with several like way too much work for the GM to do on the deadline or in the week prior to the deadline, with so many guys to trade, that you're going to be left with unsigned, untraded UFAs and probably just missing out on a playoff spot, getting the 14th overall pick again. You know, bad. He's been great, but you know, rather get top 5, top 10 pick. Just saying.
One of the things you also have to consider is the timing of when you're wanting to sell because of their trade value. So what if right now we'll say, Zadorov is already once. Who else? Lindholm. What if right now Lindholm doesn't have the greatest trade value? But for example, who else is supposed to be UFA?
Tanev, Zadorov, and Hanifin.
Yeah,
Hanifin's got great value right now.
Tanev. Yeah. There's one guy that we can look at going right away, right now. So if Tanev, so we look at getting Tanev. Zadorov will go off when I think Huska said that they're going to kind of go with our timeline rather than his, which is
nice. How you should do it. You shouldn't set the precedent that you just sell the guy off the second he asks out, because then you're going to have you're going to have bad culture. Everyone's going to want out and then expect to be out the second they want to be out. Anyways, keep going.
Yeah, no, that's just one of the things is that this month it could be Zadorov and Tanev, who are two great defensemen who have pretty high trade value, and then in the month later. But you have Lindholm, who's just suddenly been exponentially better with points and just with the performance overall. And then lastly, you go into, say, Hanifin?
Yeah,
Hanifin. And then maybe at just the only person you have left is Hanifin, maybe at the trade deadline. Because maybe he doesn't do great, but you at least have only one rather than dealing, like you said, with 4.
Yeah. Well, that's my whole thing. Like you said, you got to gauge the trade value of these guys, and when there will be better, when the value is going to be better, and when the value is going to be worse. And really, I'm kind of concerned about Zadorov's value in general, because he's, aside from the fight tonight, he's kind of been relatively shit ever since the Toronto game. Ever since he requested the trade, he's kind of been bad, in my opinion, and so I'm worried that continues, and then his value keeps dropping. I don't see any of that happening with any of the other guys, but yeah.
It's hard to say, right? I mean, we're just one injury away from missing out on a first or a second round pick.
Yeah.
That's the scary, harsh reality of that.
Especially with Tanev.
Yeah. I mean,
this is why
he's going to be a guy that people want at the deadline for sure, but is he going to be healthy at the deadline? That's a question. He's getting older. He has a history of going down, unfortunately, and I mean, I think he'd be an easy sell.
Here's my thing too, right? When we're talking about players' values and whatnot, people are saying, well, their values are not great right now. It's like, okay, if they continue to play this way, by the time mid to late February hits and as we close to the deadline, what makes you think their values are going to be even better by then too?
You never know.
That's a scary reality of waiting around too long in this situation.
Yeah. I'll just say it again. I'm kind of worried. It'll be too much work for a rookie GM or for any GM to have 4 big pieces in the last week before the deadline that you need to trade. That's a lot of work, So I do think that kind of sprinkling trades in throughout the next couple months is the right way to go.
Well, that's the thing that honestly, man, like that's the thing that I was low key scared about when Connie first took the job, right? Was that by the time they reached like the deadline or something like that, right? If they were really bad and if there was a point where you had to sell, how was he going to handle that? That's like that was my low key biggest concern, was that how was he going to handle these free agents, right? And we saw a lot of scary rumors from contract talks, right? With Hannafin, they almost got to the point where they signed him to a $7.5 million extension per year. Like, I would not want that at all on my cap space long term, man. Like, that would be really bad. And
Me
especially
neither.
the fact that they got close to signing Lindholm to a $9 million contract as well. Like,
Yeah, that's asinine. Like, what?
that's scary.
Where are they pulling that out of? That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
We
exactly.
We've got a question from Travis here. I'm going to put on the screen. So, who do you think will be the quickest trade?
Oh boy, I'm gonna say I guess I know the value is not high for Zadorov right now, but I really guess Zadorov is probably going to likely be the first guy out, like 100%.
Yeah, it's hard between Tanev and Zadorov, but I'm gonna say probably Zadorov first, and then Tanev next.
Yeah, I think at the same time, and I know we've heard the rumors that Toronto wants them both, and we've heard rumors that Edmonton wants them both. We've heard rumors, but I do think that there's a bunch of teams out there that need two, middle pair defensemen. And as much as I don't think Zadorov is a middle pair defenseman, a lot of teams out there do. So I think that they'll both go at the same time. Might be a bit of a hot take, but
yeah.
I you know what, guys? I'm gonna go on a limb here and say that Tanev gets moved on deadline day. I think that's the deadline move where someone ridiculously overpays for a defenseman like Chris Tanev.
And I could see that too. I like this comment.
So just to give you a little bit of a story with Jeff here, who commented, he lives in Nashville. He's a Nashville fan. He's good buddies with somebody that I kind of made friends with a number of years ago. I met Jeff in Nashville. I went to a game with him. It was a lot of fun. He's a good dude. So. Appreciate it, Jeff. Well done.
Oh boy.
Yeah, and Travis is in West Virginia. He also knows Jeff, and this was his.
That's good stuff.
That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, but no, back to your point there, Noah. I totally could see that happening, and I think that the deadline is, if we're gonna save one guy for the deadline, I think that Tanev would be the best one to save.
Just
I mean,
you
risk injury, but also if he is healthy, you get a bigger haul for him then, because teams know that he's healthy and that he's healthy that late into the season, right? Because he's got that injury history. It's been better since he's been to Calgary, but he's still been hurt here and there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, Chris Tanev is the kind of defenseman that if you're a contender and you need that like extra missing piece, he's that guy. Like, he's a playoff level defenseman 100% for a team that's close to win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah. In a 1-goal game, which, playoff, there's a shit ton of 1-goal games, really tight games.
Mm-hmm.
You want Chris Tanev out there.
You
like, look at what he did today, saving that goal. Well, knocking the puck out of the crease after Markstrom made that really nice save. Like,
after he covered his own ass.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about this for a second here, because obviously the Devils have been the most rumored in both Zadorov and Tanev. Like,
Mhm.
who could you see coming back from New Jersey for either or?
So they've got a whole bunch of pretty interesting talent up front, and most of them are pretty young. That interests me. However, they got shut out tonight, and Hughes is back, so that's an interesting thought. But I do think they're short on the blue line, so they
I think
are.
goaltend's another question too for them still.
Yeah, I think they should start running with Schmid. I don't think Vanacek is quite it, but
What about Markstrom?
I would love that, honestly.
Tanev and Markstrom's in New Jersey.
Yeah, and they don't need their first round picks, and they don't need their some of their upfront prospects. Like, I could see a guy like Dawson Mercer, who's on their
Yes.
third line most of the time, or somebody like that, as well as a first round pick type of thing. And that's the type of haul you want for a team that
Yeah.
you want a young player who can step in and play. They've also got some really good defense prospects. They've obviously they're rolling with Luke Hughes, but they've got some younger defense prospects that I would be kind of interested in too. Let me bring it up here.
So while you're looking at that, another thing that we haven't really heard about since a couple of the guys came over, goalie situation. Director of goaltending for, I think it was Edmonton and LA, came over to a couple of the Flames games.
Yeah.
So if you're looking at whether it's Markstrom or Vladar, maybe now, maybe a little later, maybe at the deadline, are you looking at possibly getting a first round pick for a defenseman to try and replace at least a couple of our defensemen who like one who is guaranteed to go away, and then two who are UFAs at the end. So, is that what you're trying to look for some more prospect picks?
I mean,
yeah.
I'm looking for picks and young prospects only
Me
at
too.
this point. I mean, yeah, we'll have to take a couple of bad contracts back just to sweeten the deal and all that fun stuff. But I want to start out fresh. I don't want any more 30-year-olds coming in and
No.
I don't need that. That's not what we need right now. We need to just start unloading. Let's build for the future. It's going to be some gross hockey for the next 3 years is what it is. Like,
Sure.
let's just build this.
I'll
Let's get this
take-
going.
I totally agree.
If we have 2-3 years of bad hockey just to win Stanley Cup after Stanley Cup, I'll fucking take it.
I totally agree. And just
Yep.
I
Absolutely.
think that the Kings have some interesting players who are young, who are NHL ready too. Like what's that guy's name? Akil Thomas is close. They've got a guy that's buried on their fourth line who's like a pure sniper.
By the way,
Arthur Kaliev.
Are you talking about the Kings, by the way?
The Kings, yeah, Arthur Kaliev.
What's Brand Clark says like? Like, is he on the team now, or is he still in the minors? Like,
I think
what's his whole deal?
I think he's been up and down. He's like the first D call up. I think.
I would trade him. I would try to trade for him in a heartbeat.
Yeah, he's got
absolutely
really high upside.
No question. That would be another prospect I'm going for if we're trading with LA. Like, absolutely.
And as for the Devils, Alex Holt, Stockton Mercer, those are two guys who should be top 6 players who are buried underneath all of their great offensive talent. And Simon Nemec, I don't know how to say it properly, but he was 2nd overall. I doubt they're going to trade him, but he's a good defensive prospect. Like, they've got a whole bunch of players. Daniel Musil. They've got a whole bunch of young players. Fabian Zetterlund, even. They've got a bunch of young players who are pretty much NHL ready or NHL ready who are are still young and team control and pretty much, you know, the type of guys you want to be going after, in my opinion, as well as picks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Jeff, the Predators fan, feels the same way we do. Unfortunately for Jeff, they really tried to last year, but then they ended up starting to win after they got rid of guys, which was kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Mm.
I like the Predators lineup though. They've got guys like Juuso Parssinen and a couple of other guys kind of sort of like that are just they've got a high upside and they're coming in and playing their first couple years, and the Predators are probably going to suck for a couple years, and then all of those guys are going to become, you know, legitimate middle to top 6 players and produce like that. Like Parssinen is a guy who I've streamed into my fantasy a few times, and he's helped me win some weeks in the last year and a half or so.
That was before you started to go with what the Flames model should be.
Yeah, I did that this year.
The sell at all cost.
Yeah, I went total rebuild mode on my fantasy team this year, but last year he came in and helped me win some weeks.
Yeah.
There's another reason why I want us to tank into the top 10, potentially top 3, because that first round pick this year is top 10 protected. The one that was traded to Montreal in the Monahan deal to essentially acquire Nazem Kadri, that was included in the trade. And that's basically Montreal's pick if it's outside the top 10.
See, that whole pick really confuses me. I thought it was a 2025 pick, not a 2024 pick, but
I think it was 24. I think it was 24. And that pick is top 10 protected this year.
Okay.
It bounces around with all the conditions, right? It depends on so many different things. It can either be a 24 or a 25. It's super bizarre. Like
the implications on that deal were so complicated. I was just like, I'm not even bothering.
A bottle of scotch. Yeah, there was a bottle of scotch when they wrote that one up. Like that was just it's asinine what they were doing there. It makes no sense.
When it confuses Ryan Pike and he still doesn't know what all the intricacies still are after like a year and a half, you know that it's really fucked.
It's like it's just like who the hell wrote these conditions up?
Yeah.
Like, did they go out for drinks at a Montreal bar and figure this thing out? Or
yeah, exactly. It was just poorly translated from French, and the NHL still allowed it. Yeah, that's something else, right? This from the game tonight. I was actually kind of surprised. I didn't realize it, but we only had 4 shots in that second period, right?
Ooh. Yeah,
which is funny.
I mean, if you're in Team Tank, you're like, yes,
right.
So I want to throw something out there, and I'm curious what you guys think of this.
All right.
Now I know Pospisil still had a couple of pop moments tonight, but I really think Zari is the driver on that line. Don't get me wrong, I like Pospisil and I like how Kadri's been playing, even though he's like literally my least favorite player on the team. But do you guys feel the same way about Zari? Like even how he just drops pucks into smart areas before he goes on to for line changes, and his forecheck and his playmaking ability, I find him to be the driver of that line. And it kind of showed because they kind of didn't do anything for 2 periods this game.
I would absolutely say that Zari is the biggest reason why that line has had a lot of success. And that's all due respect to how Pospisil has played as well and Kadri, but take Connor Zari off that line and that line is complete dog shit. Let's be very, very honest in that regard. That's not the same line without Connor Zari. And honestly, that's with all due respect to Pospisil, but that's not the same line without Connor Zari. And he looked like an absolute difference maker on that line. Yeah, Connor.
No, I've really enjoyed watching Connor, and I like tempering expectations on prospects and young guys. I've been all about that with Wolf because I've seen, I had high expectations for fucking Tyler Parsons and Sven Berchi, and and I've just kind of learned to settle down a little bit.
Yeah.
But so my expectations for Zari were kind of like Vincent Trocheck style.
I never knew what we were gonna get,
but I think he might be better than that now. That I've actually seen him play. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no. It is unfortunate that Zari wasn't on the line tonight. I hope it's more injury related than being a healthy scratch.
That's what Huska was saying. It was he's banged up, is what Huska said.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that. I mean, because the last game he was playing for only like 3 minutes in the third, and I'm like, oh, don't tell me we're doing this, right? Like Huberdeau, I get. Zari, like, have you? I know he hasn't been getting all those points or hasn't been getting the, been the points guy that all of a sudden we've expected him to be because he's gotten assists or like a point per game or two points per game, but like he has been making plays that have actually created chances, especially in the ozone. Like he has been. It doesn't. Like it usually starts with him.
Yeah.
It doesn't usually start with Kadri. Not often with Pospisil. It goes to him, and then he moves the puck, and then it gets to Kadri, and then to Pospisil, and then back to him. And it's like, you know what? There's an actual cycle going, like on a power play, or yeah, it's amazing what happens. And one of the last things I want to do, like I want to say is if this is like again, if they when they can, because I think right now they just have too many active guys. The ozone, yeah. Well, I'm glad to hear. Thank you. But oh Jesus, I lost my train of thought. Sorry. When eventually when they hopefully get Coronado back up.
Yeah.
And when Peltier comes back, I cross my fingers sooner than later.
Likely not till late February, early March.
Which sucks, but when he does, and I hope he gets the chance to, for at least being in on this for this season, I could see being a serious offensive threat. Like if they want to get, I mean, obviously you need to kind of just distribute the guys. But if they decide to, Connie is on his word, true to his word, gets those young guys up and decides just for a couple games, we'll have the three young guys stay on one line. That could be a serious threat that I can absolutely see. Like hell, even Serengovic has obviously proven that he has some skill, he has some serious shooting potential. So
he's like the last couple games.
Oh, absolutely.
Can we use him as all three players in the shootout, if that's okay? Not use Jonathan Huberdeau at all.
They used to do that in the World Juniors.
I had no idea that was his sixth shorthanded goal in his career. Like,
my gosh,
he's played less than 200 games. How is that even possible?
Wow. Yeah. We got a Toby Reader 2.0.
Right? Bring it. Well, I mean, not everybody can be Schlemko, right? Not everybody can be Schlemko.
I mean, Rasmus Anderson was Schlemko last year, but yeah, that's not happening this year.
Hey, what do you guys think of this shirt? End the drought. I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. 89. Got a buddy of mine that makes these. He does it for all the teams.
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Imagine him making one for Vegas and the drought. Oh yeah, you guys won last.
Yeah, from like 6 months ago.
And the 6-month drought, please. We're begging for another one. Just give it to us now. Okay.
I want to
Okay.
talk a little bit about the power play entries, and actually, I want to tie it back to Zari a little bit too, because not even just power play entries, but entries in general. I find Zari really helps the transition of the team. The puck in the neutral zone isn't on his stick very long. He's not stopping and trying too hard. He's touch passing it and doing like tape to tape passes. But I found today, and it's not just because he wasn't there, but I found the entry, especially on the power play, was really hard to watch today. But what do you
Arguably
guys
the
think
worst
about
power
that?
play I've ever seen in my life. Just
Yeah,
trash ass power play, just terrible.
Oh, we had five power plays tonight,
Yeah, something
and
like
we
that.
scored none. They scored one.
and that was
Aces, right?
that was an entry turnover by Huberto, who I thought had a good game.
That was bad
again, but he
Awful.
was absent on that play. That's for sure.
Yeah.
You honestly need a play driver like Connor Zary on that power play, and you need a sniper like Matthew Coronado. Boom, your power play gets solved.
Can we all agree that Kadri has no business being on first power play?
No, he should not. No, you're right about that. He should not be on the first power play unit at all.
Like he can
Huberto as well, man. He's fucking terrible in the power play.
Yeah,
I don't want to see Huberto and
way.
Kadri on the ice ever together. Ever.
Nope,
not
never.
once in the next 7 years at all. And I don't care if it's halfway through a fucking line change. I don't want to see those two guys on the ice together because they're like oil and water and things fuck up the second it happens.
I mean, an Nazem Kadri buyout doesn't seem so crazy after this year.
Have you looked at it? Because I looked at it earlier this year.
It looks way better than I thought it was going to look.
Right? Like, it's only a couple mil. Like, I think it only maxes out at like 2.5 or something like that.
1.5.
1.5, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that's not bad at all. Like,
that's like, I mean, like 1.5 of dead cap is not necessarily the end of the world. Like, that's not awful at all, especially if you're not going to be good for 3-4 years. Like, I'll take that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that helps you reach the floor as well, right?
Yeah. Unless someone really, 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 for whatever reason, wants Kadri and will take his contract 100%, then yeah, I don't mind buying him out.
Surely Brad's willing to take that off our hands, right? I mean, he caused that shit.
Back to Toronto.
Yeah, no. I'm pretty sure he had something against the city, so he won't. He actually enjoys Toronto, or sorry, somewhat.
Yeah.
I have a question for you guys.
Yeah,
if we held on to 2.5 of Kadri's contract and we got actual value in draft picks or prospects or whatever back from it, would that be the worst thing in the world?
No.
Like
I'd be for that.
No, I'd be for it. Yes, as in yes, I'd go for it.
That'll be like 6 years of 2.5 mil on our
dude,
books.
If we're gonna be bad for a couple of years, if we're gonna be bad for half of it, I'll take it.
Yeah.
You're not gonna be good anyway, so it's like, what difference does it make?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, and that's I fear that we're gonna go through, like, obviously I'm quite a few years older than you guys there, so I remember being in the Dome in the 90s with 12 other people, and so I fear that we're going to get a bit of that, right? And I think that's really going to anger Murray Edwards when it comes right down to it. Like, we're already seeing. Like, I was at the game on Saturday against the Islanders, and but I think they announced 16,000. But I mean, clearly that was with all the season ticket sales as well.
It'll start to go down.
There was no way there were 16,000 people in there.
No
chance. Like there wasn't 16,000, including the teams and Dome staff. Like there's no way.
Remember the game against the Blues, and that horrible game against the Blues when they were in town? Like they literally, the color of the TV, it seemed as if they were trying to hide the fact that there's way less people in attendance.
Yeah,
like it's bad. It's starting to get really bad because you know what? People are tired of mediocrity, man.
Yeah,
and guess
like
what?
the COVID style drapes they had over the fucking seats.
It's okay, everybody. It's sold out.
I mean,
Yeah.
if they can superimpose the ads on the board, surely they can add fans to stands, right?
Pay you. They need to pay, dude. I must just say, just you pay me.
Yeah.
I still have the Blues from the. Oh my god, Travis.
Well, I mean, and I'm not gonna lie, it was nice picking up row 2 on the second tier in the center for $140 a seat. So that was nice.
Yeah.
You don't get deals like that very often, right? I mean, especially when they're winning.
No.
Yeah, I
think
it's starting to get to. I think it's really though to what we've discussed in this part about the attendance. Like it's starting to get to that point, man. Like I mean, even me, for example. Like I haven't gone to a game in like a month, and quite honestly, I don't have particular interest in going because, like, for one, it's like I can still watch a game here at home, games at home. But number two, it's like why are we going to spend $130 of whether it be the tickets are cheap, but you're spending so extra amounts of money on things like food, gears, etc. It's like, why do that if there's no direction?
Yeah, that's absolutely it. I mean, I did appreciate watching or getting to see Pospisil and Zari on the ice. It's nice to see what they do away from the puck. And obviously it's not nice to see guys like Mangiapane and Dubé away from the puck because it's such a shit show. But I do like going to the games and seeing what the kids have to offer. So I did like that. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Like there's not many people that will sit there and actually kind of watch what's happening away from the play just to appreciate what's happening with the growth of the team. Most people want to go there for the goals. They want to go there for the excitement, and if it's not there, then there's they'll be looking at 9,000 to 10,000.
Yeah, no one's there to watch Jonathan Hubert. No one's there to watch Jonathan Huberdeau make a terrible entry into the ozone and turn the puck over on the power play.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have enjoyed watching Jonathan Huberdeau the last couple games.
I mean,
honestly.
yeah. I mean, true.
He was playing really, and I thought he played well today too. But except for that, that was bad. That one thing,
horrible.
That's he needs to do 3 really good things to make up for that one, right?
Yeah. But maybe let's get your guys' opinion on this.
Sure.
I think his vision has been much better over the last little bit. And his actual, I think his vision never left, but his execution was kind of off and he wasn't hitting the tape. But now he's been hitting the tape a lot more when he sends passes. Even when he's spinning and doing passes, he's hitting the tape a lot. And to me, it's really nice to see.
I believe both things can be true. Is that he's looked better the last week and a half to 2 weeks. He's looked a lot better. Yeah. There's no denying on that part. Excuse me. But is he still $10.5 million worth? Absolutely not. Not by any means necessarily. Is he still worth that much?
I think if he would continue, if he continued the way he's been playing the last 3 or 4 games for the next 7 years, then yes. But he's got to play to that standard or better. And
for me it's better to justify 10.5, right, or 10 mil. Like that's To me, that's way too much money for somebody that's just been a point of game. That's not taking anything away from him. Obviously, he's the last 4 or 5 seasons he's been pretty incredible when he was with the Panthers. But I still think it's too much for what he would have brought, regardless, just being a playmaker.
It was
You pay that kind
desperation.
of money to it. Yeah, clearly, right?
Oh,
Yeah,
sure.
it was
Yeah.
desperation because they thought that, well, if we don't sign him now, we're losing him in free agency. If you can't sign him, trade him at the deadline. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Could you imagine the shit
It's not
return
rocket
we would have got
science.
for him at the deadline this last
oh
year?
my god. We would have gotten the 7th round pick back at the deadline last year.
Future considerations.
We gotta,
Yeah. So then it ends up being Kachuk for Uyghur and futures. That's
Man,
great.
Yeah.
That would have gone over well.
Uyghur's been our best defenseman all year, though.
I agree.
Yeah.
That I agree with.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's what the trade should have been to begin with. It should have been Kachuk for Uyghur. That would have felt
And a couple of
Yeah.
firsts.
yeah.
Yeah.
Uyghur has been the best overall, like all around defenseman. I think there's he's like you can tell that he has offensive capabilities, but he also knows how to actually play his position. See, I look at Rasmus Anderson. I think he has a great offensive push, but he's a defenseman, and he sometimes forgets that, and he sometimes doesn't have that awareness where there might be a clear path where a guy is right there, and he just decides to crash into the guy rather than kind of block off the lane, or he'll go on to the 3-on-2 where he should be staying behind. And it's like, what if they decide to, poke check, and then they have a 2-on-1 going the other end. So again, Uyghur, best overall defenseman, that, actually knows how to play his position.
And it's funny because last year Uyghur had the front of the net or the pizza up the middle of the ice problem, and this year it's Anderson that's having that problem.
He's I gotta be honest though, he's looked like complete shit since he got suspended. He's not looked good at all.
I think it's made him second guess his his instincts.
Yeah, and that's very uncharacteristic as well to an extent in his game, right?
I mean,
because
he's my favorite player on the team. So
that's what makes him such a great player.
Yeah,
such a great defenseman, right? But then, to your point, I think the suspension really made him second guess, and now he doesn't know what to do.
Yeah,
he looks lost.
Yeah.
He looks lost.
Yeah, we recorded last night, and that's what I said. We were talking about the Zadorov wanting out, that sort of thing, and some of the reasons why being.
Let me ask you guys this,
lack
though.
of ice time.
Let me ask this: do you guys have a problem with how the AJ went about it?
100%.
I personally don't.
Really?
And my biggest thing is that this is business, guys. Like this is sports business. It happens all the time. It's not new. And it will not be the last time anyone else does this in sports or in any other profession at all, right? So the way they went about it is, I have no problem with it. Like, I really don't have a problem with it, because you know what? It's in their own rights to do what they need to do, and he only did what was best for his client. And if you think the organization had no idea that this was coming down, I think people are completely naive.
Well, I think if the agent is doing it via Twitter and Nikita isn't going to management and ownership to have that conversation, then he's doing himself a disservice. But I don't think that helps him in any way. It instantly drops his trade value, right? Because now teams know that he wants out, so you're not going to get the same return that you potentially could have. It causes a lot of grief within the locker room.
Yeah.
The players, they're supposed to be a team, and you start doing that shit, then the other players they're not going to take kindly to it. I feel like he was already under some pressure with some of the comments he made earlier in the season, which I think were warranted.
He shouldn't
I
have been
agree with the
under
things you were
fire
saying.
for those.
No, I
I
don't either, but I feel like there was, right? Like there was a lot of talk about how some of the players were not appreciative of his comments. And to me, that just means that those guys were the problem.
That
Those,
made me
you know,
respect him even more. That made me
I mean,
respect him even more because guess what? He
100%.
was truthful. And it's like,
Yeah.
hey, if you don't like what he's saying because he's right, too bad.
No,
Too bad for you.
I agree with that. But with
Yeah.
the agent thing, the thing that bothers me about that is like I don't care that the agent went out and said that, but I think that he should have, you know, whether the agent or the player, like one of them should have, like it should have been known in the room before it was known publicly,
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
that also alienates him from the room because the guys now don't think that he trusts them with information, you know, that type of thing. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Again, I don't mind the agent being the one that tweets it out. I just think that it's kind of stupid to not tell the GM and your teammates first.
I maybe not the teammates, but I think management knew about something though. I think they had to have known something.
I mean, I think going about it in a way where you go, you know, Zadora has asked for and not, you know, basically, by the way, this is it. You know, this is the way, this is what we're saying now. You know, saying that, you know, that he has already gone to management. Okay, fine. Then it's, you know, then it, you know, it's fine to be public. That's all good.
How do we not know though that he didn't go to management beforehand?
Well, we don't know that.
Well, that's it, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's, you know, I mean, it could very
Exactly.
well have.
You'd figure if the management knew, then the captain would have known.
Yeah.
You'd figure. Not specifically, right? But that's just a thought.
Noah, you're muted.
Yeah, you muted yourself.
Oh shoot, I think my microphone turned off there or something.
I shut you off like 5 minutes in.
Oh shit.
We've been reading your lips the entire time, actually.
Yeah, you exaggerate the movements very well. We've known exactly what you're saying the whole time. It's been great.
Yeah.
Well,
Until now.
okay,
Now you just got boring. Sorry, man.
Yeah.
Sucks for you.
Okay, but here's my thing. Here's my thing for people who said, "Oh well, management had no idea about this." I obviously think that's a lie because management had to have known something was coming. Especially with the comments too. Who knows? Who knows if he went to them and said, "Hey, you know what? I'm sick of some of these players saying this or that." He could have overstepped over the players and done that too. But
I'm gonna
happened?
look something up because one of the things that he did say was
what just happened there? Wait, we can't see it.
Oh, I think he's probably going to the washroom or something.
Oh, okay, okay. Go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead, Dill. Go ahead.
I'm just gonna look up his ice time because I think his ice time just started decreasing right around that time. I remember looking it up back then, but Toronto ice time. Yeah, his in the last couple games before the trade request, his ice time went down by like 3 minutes. And I think that part of that was because they weren't really trusting DeSimone at the time, and he was DeSimone's partner. And because that was when Anderson got back. I don't think it's a smart thing to do, but I don't think that Zadorov knew that's what he was going to do much sooner than he did. And I think that a lot of it does stem from that whole, him calling people out for being individuals and stuff. I think that alienated him from the locker room. I don't think it should have, but I think it did. And
I still think he was right for saying that.
Oh no, I agree with you.
No. I know. But
then
personally,
he
I think
he was no longer welcome.
Hey,
and then
hey.
he did that, and now he's
So-
even less welcome.
And I appreciate Nikita Zadora for being correct on that stance, because it is correct.
No, it totally, at that time, the team was not playing as a team. They are playing as a team now, but they weren't then, and that was 100% true. There's no denying that. Even though both Coleman and Backlund publicly denied it.
So
So the one thing I like about his statement, though, is one of the reasons why he's asking to leave, and that's his ice time. And one of the things I brought up on our show last night is I agree with him, because throughout this season thus far, aside from a couple of games since he has to be traded, he's been one of our best. He's like top 3 in my books as far as defensemen this year, because Anderson's looked like shit since coming back from suspension.
Not good.
Tanev is starting. I don't know if he's starting to show his age or what, but he has not looked nearly as good as he has in the past. Hannafin is always kind of up and down. He's never really been a
Consistent.
a superstar or consistent in my opinion. So I've kind of felt like with those types of situations, you're supposed to reward the players that are playing better, and maybe scale back the guys that are struggling for whatever reason. So I think he's deserved to be, maybe the second on the second pairing for a majority of the season, and he hasn't been given that opportunity.
So I have a question for you guys. Do you think that there is a bit of a dressing room, like a dressing room atmosphere problem in Calgary?
Yeah,
Yes.
I think there has been
Yeah.
for
It's going back many, many years.
it's gone
Yeah.
back many years, and I
Not
think Daryl Sutter made it worse. He didn't start it, but he made it worse, and then it's persisted because the culture hasn't changed
Well,
since then.
Well, think about this too. Think about this. This goes back to like the Johnny and Monty era to an extent.
Yeah.
But not even that, but it also goes back to all of those rumors of how Dion left, which we
That's right.
won't get into. But basically, it
Well-
goes back a long way, the culture issue of the Calgary Flames.
Yeah, and
I
it's
mean,
never
I-
been fixed, right?
And
Never
and
been
there's
fixed.
still one person that's still around from that time, and that's Craig Conroy.
Yeah.
I'm not blaming Craig Conroy on the locker room issue, by the way. I'm just making a
Yeah.
joke.
And it's kind of funny that he was at the heart of that Dion thing.
Yeah,
Anyways,
whether he wanted to be or not.
I don't
Yeah.
think he did. Let's
Yeah.
see what Greg has to say here.
I
He
went wrong
didn't
tonight.
get a chance to to
Calgary
watch the
Flames
game tonight.
hockey,
He was probably
Craig.
watching the Avs game, but
Yeah, Greg's an Avs fan
Mm.
for some
Yeah.
reason. I don't know. We haven't decided why.
so what went
so-
wrong tonight, boys?
Well, Calgary Flames hockey is what went wrong tonight.
Yeah.
Markstrom had 32 of 34 saves.
No, that was no.
With-
He had 42 of 46.
No, I know. He had
Oh.
32 of 34 with 5 minutes or less left in the game, and then
Oh, I see.
the team kind of gave up around him, and there was a lot of breakdowns.
Yeah.
I mean, he played well up until that point. I still think that that play with Forsberg was garbage.
Yeah, that
I'm-
was.
I still don't see how that wasn't. I mean, obviously they're not going to call a penalty after the fact, but they should have, in my opinion, called the
So-
goal off, because that was a penalty, or should have
It
been. a
was, yeah.
penalty
He
to
closed
begin with.
his hand on the puck and threw it. So,
Mhm.
and it was like clear as day zoomed in, right?
Well, yeah, and then he
but I
and then
don't
he hit
think-
then he
can
hit
you-
Markstrom in the face with his stick from behind the net in that same play.
Yeah. Can you challenge a penalty like a non-call? I don't think you can challenge that. I think that because what they said the challenge was there should have been a stoppage of play. But I don't
Yeah.
think you can challenge any of what happened there. Can you?
No, you can't directly challenge that there potentially was a penalty or anything like that, but you can't challenge the fact that the play shouldn't have gone any further after that infraction, right? There shouldn't have been any other play after that.
And I think one of the things that went against the Flames too was that the Flames touched it right after.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
if you have the kind of point of where the puck, even if he didn't grab it, he pushed it and went to a Nashville
Would've been a
stick
glove
right
pass.
away, then yeah, you have glove pass. The issue is that, I mean, even if you have it, you grab it, that play should have been stopped dead at that
Yeah.
point. So now that they didn't call it, the issue is that, okay, who touched it next? So
Mhm.
now
It was
they
Uyghur.
say, oh, whoops, it was Uyghur. Then he gave it to Carrier, and then it was in the net. So
Mhm.
what I think they were trying to determine is that if because we didn't make the call, then now we should look at who touched the puck next. And then unfortunately what went against us was that Uyghur did, therefore it's a good,
Yeah.
it's a
I
good
And
think
by
play.
the way, I think
that's what
Uyghur made the right play there. He just tried to bat the puck out of the crease.
Mhm.
Like, I don't think that was the wrong play. It's just unfortunate the timing of it and how it worked out when it came to the challenge.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think, sorry, and just going back to what went wrong, power play, our special, our power play, that is the first thing that I can say. It was, we let in the, on our power play, Nashville got more goals than we did.
And we had 5 power plays.
We had 5.
And
That'll do it.
the power play being a momentum killer is a problem, and there's probably been 2 years in the last 15 where the power play has actually been a consistent positive. The purple Gatorade line, and then the Kachuk, Gaudreau, Lindholm line. Those were the only 2 years in the last probably 15 years where the power play hasn't been so bad that it's been a momentum killer.
Yeah, the power play has been bad for a very long time. In the penalty kill has been pretty damn good. With Lindholm and Backlund heading that up. So, what did we allowed 1 power play goal, I think, in 4 attempts from Nashville, I think it was.
Yeah, it was actually the one where we got the call wrong.
First shot
Yeah.
goal tonight, no, Greg. That actually, thankfully, hasn't been a problem all year.
Yeah.
Markstrom has made, the first several saves of the game pretty much every game he's played. So thankfully, that hasn't been a problem, and I think he made quite a few really good saves to start off the game.
Jeff,
You're right.
absolutely
We don't have any goddamn Waffle Houses in Calgary. What the hell? We just have punk ass Denny's.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
There's several
Yeah.
casinos just outside the dome, so might as well.
That's right.
Might as well just go
down the
there
street
and
from
get
me.
drunk.
That's right. I'll see you guys. at
Bet
the
on
Deer
some
Pavilion.
other team to win the fucking their game instead of us, because we won't.
Yes.
Assistance.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, he's been playing pretty good.
Yeah.
I know that Nashville, last year they kind of weren't as shitty as they were planning to be after they sold off Ekholm
It was almost-
and all those other pieces.
They
Brian
got
Johansson
better,
and all
which
those,
is bizarre.
which is bizarre. But, and I know that they're shitty this year. Even though they beat us, they're still, I think they're bottom 3 or bottom 4 in the league. But I like what they did, and I think that could be a thing that we could do as well, which is, sell off a few of their older pieces or even middle NHL aged pieces. Grab some picks, some prospects, flip a couple of the picks, use a couple of the picks, and just rejig the lineup altogether. Get younger, get more exciting, and work towards, like you guys were saying earlier, in 4 years or whatever, when the arena shows up, when fill it up with people who are excited to see a fun team to watch.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
right. Consistency, right?
Yeah.
Consistency has been the plague of the Flames for a while.
Generation.
I mean,
it's yeah, it's yeah. Like it's just one of those things where I would rather, again, like it was kind of, I think it was kind of discussed between Noah and I would rather see a team that loses but shows signs of progression with with like that rebuild and whatnot. Like we lose, but we have players on the ice who are showing great talent and we're showing progress, rather than lose and knowing this is the best that we have.
Yeah.
And just depression on the ice, and it's just just having our rubber hits. Like we Noah and I were at the game against the Rangers, and my god, like I have never felt the arena that dead in a long time.
And usually the dome is alive against the Rangers because of Fox, like the last couple times anyways. So that's,
well, it's an original 6 team. You would think that a third of the, or quarter of the building would have been Rangers fans to begin with.
It felt cold and empty. Like we scored the first goal, and we had probably about 10 minutes total of people feeling like, okay, we're getting going, and then nothing, and it was just dead for the rest of the game. I'm very surprised. I'm extremely surprised that more people didn't leave. Like it was just
it was like to Connor's point, it's like I can never remember the dome feeling that quiet ever. Not like that. Never. Like it was
crazy because the dome is like famously not very loud a lot of the time.
No, it's never full of energy at all.
Yeah. And which is unfortunate because like Chris and I went to a couple of the games against Dallas in the playoffs a couple years ago. And like there were moments in those games that were loud and rowdy, but like there were the majority of those games were kind of dull.
Yeah, pretty much crickets, right? Like which is bizarre. It's playoffs, for God's sake. And
you remember what Sutter said about that though is that Flames fans are smart and are quiet and studying the game and watching the game and not going nuts over it because they're busy studying what's going on. It's like, yeah, but also like let's talk about Nashville, that building and their chants. Like I wish we were like that.
Madison Square Garden for a Rangers playoff game that I was at a year and a half ago, ridiculously insane.
Yeah,
in terms of the crowd, never heard anything like it.
Yeah, and the players feed off that too, right? Like not that they should have to feed off of it, but they do, right? Like,
yeah, like absolutely.
Well, and that's the point too. Is I mean, not even to mention too. Like I think like the people are tired of going to the dome. Like they want a new arena, man. Like we need a new arena badly at this point, badly.
I mean, I grew up in that building, so yeah, it was 2027, wasn't it?
2027, yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I grew up in the dome, so I have a great appreciation for that. I was 6 when the Flames came to Calgary. But I've also been to other arenas. I've been in Nashville, I've been in St. Louis and Pittsburgh, and yeah, like it's night and day in just the fan experience, the building itself, like even just stupid things like being able to go to the bathroom without waiting in line for 11 minutes.
Huh.
Yeah, the dome is pretty rough for that.
Yeah.
It's
Like
it's unpleasant.
went to a Jays game this past summer, and you know, when you come out of your seats and you go onto the concourse, you walk towards the bathroom. There's no lineup, and there's 35,000 people there. Like you walk right up to the urinal, you do your thing, and you're out of there.
I just
It's like-
hope the new arena at least solves some of the worst problems with what the dome had. I mean, there's not a lot. If they manage to screw up just some more simple things, and I'd be like, all right, well, this new arena experience or the new arena was completely wasted.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
but I that is just the most simple things, like going around in some areas where it's during intermission it is so crowded and so space in between, and then you also have that line going into the washroom. It's like
Yeah.
I don't know how if I had claustrophobia, I would be I would stay in my seat and I just say,
Yeah.
hey, can you get me this and this? And then I would almost be like, no, I won't be going to the wash. I'll go in the middle of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if they want us to cheer, they have to put a serviceable product on the ice. Yeah, there's a comment I think we all agree with for sure.
Yeah, no lies detected there. Yeah.
But also, to be fair, to that commenter, when we were going to those playoff games against Dallas, like that was the best year the Flames have had in a long time, and that was there was a dynamic line, and pretty balanced attack and all that type of stuff, and it was still quiet as fuck. I think that there's just something about Calgary fans I just don't think we're very loud. I don't know what it is. Like, maybe it's because we're just always expecting the worst.
It's a foreigner type of city, and let me explain why it's a foreigner type of city. Because you get a lot of people who come here to Calgary, and I'm one of them included, who was not born and raised here, right? Is you don't have a lot of born and raised Calgarians. Like, that's a part of the problem, right? Because, like, one of the things that I notice here, right? Notice the Edmonton Oilers account, how many followers they have. And notice how many followers the Calgary Flames have on their social media accounts as well. It's a staggering difference. And Edmonton, and listen, I don't like giving Edmonton fans the benefit of the doubt, but at the same time, it's like Edmonton's got more diehard fans. And I think
they were here for a number of years before the Flames came, right?
Winning all those cups too helped.
Right?
It helps.
Sure does.
Winning helps.
Yep.
Like having the greatest
doesn't
player
help
ever
their defense.
that helps.
Yeah, the Flames also missed out on 10 years worth of fans in the 90s, right?
Yeah.
So they have a certain generation of fans from 1980 to 1990, and then I mean obviously they're not acquiring new fans from 90 to 2003. And then all of a sudden, we have a new generation of fan base from 2004 and on, and so that's not that much.
Imagine if they didn't make the playoffs in 04. You know what?
But they shouldn't have. They had no business being in the playoffs. They should not have made it, right?
Yeah, but just imagine if they didn't. Like what that would have done, right?
Yeah, exactly. I don't think they'd be here. I don't think they would be here.
Not a chance.
Right.
So let's bring this one up here. And I kind of agree. As much as I like Anderson, he bothers me on the power play because he won't shoot. And he kind of just stays stationary in the middle of the ice right at the blue line and doesn't really do all that much, kind of 10 feet left or right and no feet forward. And it's kind of frustrating because, like you said, he pinches a lot 5-on-5. But do we have anybody upcoming? Like, do you guys think Poirier might be that guy in 3 years? Like, I think he's a dynamic player, but I don't know if he's gonna is he gonna end up being like a Gostisbehere where he's only good at one thing and he's like a third pair first power play guy?
I think he's injured right now, right? So that's kind of like plagued his development a little more, right?
Yeah.
I would say maybe the next year, maybe 2 years, 3 years, he could be ready by then. But I mean, who knows too with the injury he has? Time will tell.
Yeah, what it's sliced leg, I want to say.
Yeah,
like that.
slashed leg, sliced leg, something.
Yeah. Deep cut.
Yeah, Morin could
Morin's
definitely potentially be that guy, right?
I
about
really
Chris
like
Netzl?
that pick, by the way. I really like that pick. You don't often see a scouting report on a guy like that who's got high offensive potential, who's that young, who part of the scouting report is also doesn't sacrifice too much on the defensive end when he's that young. So I'm excited to see what could happen with him. Like obviously he's still in juniors in the queue, so we'll see what happens. There's you never know with defensemen. But
I'm gonna
excited.
I'm gonna bring this up from Greg only to make a quick comment. No, Greg, we don't want to be. We're not trying to bring players in. We're trying to get players out.
Yep.
We're in the process of trying to retool. So no,
restructure. Sorry, we can't say rebuild. We have to say restructure because that's what
we can't say the word rebuild around here.
We're not allowed to
allowed.
Peter Hanlon
You know
Peter Hanlon might be breathing up and down my neck if I say the word rebuild.
You know what?
I don't know if you heard that, Greg, but when they got rid of, or when Tree Living decided not to come back, there was a press conference with John Bean, who's one of the co-owners, one of the shareholders, and he was asked about a rebuild, and he was straight up told, or he straight up said, "I'm not allowed to use that word. You guys are using that word, not me," and kind of threw his hands up like he's just like it's a fucking joke, is what it is.
John Bean should have stepped down after that press conference. It was one of the most embarrassing moments in the history of the franchise.
Don Maloney should not be allowed near a microphone as well.
Oh, you know who I call him? So whenever I hear about Don Maloney and John Bean, I just say John Bean and fat fuck. Because I literally could care less about Dom. He's that forgettable.
Yeah.
I just say, oh yeah, the Bean and fat fuck.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, even Bean, like, I don't give a fuck about either of them. Like,
can we get that?
Neither of them were ever
trending?
shown until Tree Living was gone. Neither of them were ever shown on camera, and it should have stayed that way because neither of them can speak publicly. Period.
Disgraceful, man.
Maloney was weeping like a little child over Tree Living. Like it was some next level shit, man.
Brad left.
It's a miracle. I think a lot of people said, "Oh, thank God! Oh my God, thank you."
Let's get it trending. Bean and fat fuck. Let's get it going.
I agree, Tuck. Zari's presence was definitely missed tonight. We talked about that earlier in the show for sure. He drives that line and he brings so much energy to the whole team that he was definitely missed tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we probably shouldn't drag it on too long.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to talk about the game tonight before we call her?
Not much besides, what we've discussed. Like, it's like, okay, sure, we'd like to see competitiveness through the team, but it's like, okay, guys, more losses, and the sooner we start to sell off assets.
Yeah.
I think we're all excited for that.
Yeah, and I think it's just going to go on with what Noah said. I do want to see us compete. I want to see the guys that we're looking to either targeting for a trade or are pending UFAs to play well and to increase their trade value. And I don't care if we lose and it's all 6-0, 7-3 losses and whatnot. then that's bad news for us because then no one's going to want anybody. But what I want is hard earned. If they're wins, then okay, well, we get a win. But if they're losses, at least we showed some effort. We showed that we wanted to try and win.
But hey, we get
Quote,
that
unquote.
possible draft pick.
So yeah, that kind of thing of, you know, it could get rid of some guys through between now and New Year's, and then we go from there.
I'm hoping to get rid of 2 guys from between now and New Year's, and 3 guys from New Year's to the deadline, type of thing. I doubt it. I doubt we're going to get rid of 2 before then, but that's kind of what I would like to happen.
Wishful thinking.
Yeah. Tuck. Yeah, I like the Honzek pick. I don't think that there was. Personally, I think that there was better players available still. Like, for instance, Nashville picked Gabe Perreault. I was all over Gabe Perreault. I would have really liked that. But after doing some more research on Honzek and seeing his in-tight ability to raise the puck and score in tight in heavy situations as well, I'm less upset, but I'm still, you know, I'm excited for the possibility of Honzek. I don't think he's going to be much more than a second line center, but
probably a backline type, very likely. But
Agreed.
Yeah,
He'll be there. He'll do something. It might not be something extremely massive, but it's someone new, right?
middle 6 NHLer in
not the
3-4
worst
years.
thing. Not the worst thing.
No,
Definitely not the worst pick that could have happened for us there. I still really like Nashville's pick that day. Gabe Perreault. That would have been perfect. But anyways,
Absolutely. Well, guys, hey, do you guys
you
want
guys
to
should plug your podcast.
Sure.
Okay.
So it's the Flame and Talk podcast as a part of the Hockey Podcast Network, hosted by myself and Connor Dolan. And we will be back with a new episode on Friday. And you can follow our socials at Flame and Talk on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, whatever Elon wants us to call it now. I don't even know anymore with this guy. But anyway,
I go Twix.
But you can also go subscribe to us on YouTube at Flame and Talk as well.
Yeah, beauty. And as always, we're on X, Twitter, Twix, whatever you want to call it, at ArmChair GM_pod. You can get us on Facebook as well and Reddit. And always subscribe and smash that like on the YouTube channel, and make sure you follow the Hockey Podcast Network on Twitter as well. Really appreciate you guys coming on today. It's been a lot of fun having another group of opinion when it comes to the organization. I think we're pretty much on board with some of the same thinking as far as the direction of the team, anyways. That's for sure, which is nice.
It's all about winning championships in the long term.
100%.
In the long term.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, finishing between 10th and 7th in the West for 15 years is getting old. Right?
Yep.
Yeah, it's time to blow it up, and let's get a competitive team for when we open the doors in 2027 in the new arena.
Yep.
So, thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks for your comments. Thanks Noah, Connor, for coming in, and Dylan and Chris from the ArmChair GM podcast. Go Flames, go!
Cheers.
Go Flames.